We see this really cute backstory about Ed and scene with Ed, Manuel, and Zaza.
Growing up, I was always like the class clown. I started doing Taekwondo when I was about 4 years old. I competed nationally and internationally. I won international titles, which not many people know.
Adorable, absolutely adorable. And he kind of does this little, we'll call it a little seminar for Zaza and Manuel, where he's showing them how to do kicks and stuff. And it's absolutely adorable. We see him doing this like kick flip thing. I'm not familiar with martial arts other than watching Cobra Kai, so my apologies. I'm getting that, whatever that was called, wrong. But it was so cute. We see Zaza, kicking the bag and saying things like, "You talking about my mama?" And she's like, "This is great. I feel more confident already." Love it. Adorable. And what up, challenge fans? This is Final Alliance Podcast, and I am recapping episode 10 of the challenge, season 39, titled Feeling Used. Those of you who have listened and watched before, 1, thanks for coming back. 2, obviously you notice I'm by myself. Jay could not make it this week. All me. Here we go. What I have to say about this episode, just from the beginning, is there was very little challenge, very little elimination, and a whole lot of conversations, strategy, things of that nature. We're at what I predict to be the halfway point in the game, although we still have 16 competitors left. So at this point, alliances are starting to be cracked, and people are wondering who's next and what they can do to keep themselves safe. $366,000 left in the prize pot. Melissa had just lost and gotten sent home. Right away, we have Horacio talking about Kylan and how he needs to win.
We're down to $366,000 in the final prize pot. Kylan, people also have to realize that just because he was with Melissa, it didn't mean he didn't have certain people's backs. And I think simply going forward, he has to win.
If Jay were here, he would say, here's foreshadowing. And I actually, myself, thought this immediately. I'm like, hey, we're talking about Kylan right away. I feel like this is going to mean something, especially because last week was Tori versus Melissa, a female elimination day. Colleen says that she wants to get out Mariah, realizing that Colleen, is going to be voted in if she doesn't win.
Number 1 on my list to get out of the house is definitely Mariah. She's playing 2 sides right now.
Kylan gets this note from Melissa. He's super stoked that she spelled his name right. So sounds like love to me. They can spell your name right. She calls him her favorite robot, which I thought was cute. He is thinking that this, it's going to be a change in the game for him because, he doesn't have her anymore, but it could be a good thing as far as like the American Alliance. But, time will tell. We have more talk about relationships. Mariah and James, feelings are there. People use the word love when they're talking about how Mariah feels about James. Not Mariah herself, but her girlfriends in interviews. And then Horacio and Nerys think they're heating up. So we'll see with that. Mariah and Michelle are doing face masks. And this is kind of the theme of the episode, is these conversations either with Mariah or about Mariah, about how she is with James and is that hurting her game? Because Mariah is rolling with the Americans. James is not with the Americans. Where does she stand? Does she have allegiance? Obviously, she's even said in this episode, he's her number 1. That's a red flag for a few people on the American Alliance. There's this weird conversation between Berna and Michelle. So they are friends. Berna says that they talk all the time. They FaceTime each other. They cry together. They are close.
Michelle and my relationship is actually very sweet. We always FaceTimed each other. We cried to each other.
And to Berna, that means, if we're that close that we can have those kinds of conversations, to me that says we should be close in the game.
Michelle in this season feels pretty safe. She has friends in every side and every alliances, and that's fine for her. But at the same time, I wish that Michelle had a little bit more empathy towards my position in the game.
So they have this conversation outside, and, Michelle is kind of in a rock between a rock and a hard place because she has so many relationships in this game. She's aligned with pretty much everybody at this point, but Berna is kind of feeling left out. She's feeling like she is low in the pecking order, and she says, you know, we can talk about our feelings and stuff, but like if we're like rolling together for real, like you should talk game with me and you don't talk game with me. Michelle kind of doesn't really know what to do with this, and we're going to see more of that later. We see this really cute backstory about Ed and scene with Ed, Manuel, and Zaza.
Growing up, I was always like the class clown. I started doing Taekwondo when I was about 4 years old. I competed nationally and internationally. I won international titles, which not many people know.
Adorable, absolutely adorable. And he kind of does this little, we'll call it a little seminar for Zaza and Manuel, where he's showing them how to do kicks and stuff. And it's absolutely adorable. We see him doing this like kick flip thing. I'm not familiar with martial arts other than watching Cobra Kai, so my apologies. I'm getting that whatever that was called wrong. But it was so cute. We see Zaza, you know, kicking the bag and saying things like, "You talking about my mama?" And she's like, "This is great. I feel more confident already." Love it, adorable. And Ed has just continued to be just a breath of fresh air on the show. He is, you know, as he said, camouflaging himself, and he seems to be a friend of everybody. And I'm hoping that's going to mean that we're going to see more of him because he is just a delight. We get to the challenge day. Got TJ wearing like a ribbed blue shirt. It's clearly brand new because there's like the fold marks like on the sleeve and you know, midway through the shirt, which I thought was cute because you know how it is. Like Christmas is coming, you know, you get those brand new clothes, you want to show them off, and you know, sometimes it's very obvious that something's brand new. It was cute. There's two teams. This challenge is called Skyball. They're spheres with balls in them, up however many feet in the air that half your team is in. Down on the ground, the rest of your team is there. There is a puzzle to solve first. Puzzle spells chaos. Once that puzzle is solved, you use the word to open a lock. And then at that point, your people in the sphere can start dropping the balls. They look like volleyballs. And they're whatever your color is. So there's blue team and orange team. The blue team is Kylan, Michelle, Nerese, James, Corey, Ed, Berna, and Olivia. The orange team is Manuel, Zaza, Horacio, Asa, Mariah, Colleen, Raven, and Jay. The orange team put all the women in the sphere. The blue team had all the women except for James was in the sphere, and then that left Nerese out on the ground. Nerese was so excited to be on the ground, be like, look, I'm ready to show everybody what I can do. And then, oh, bless her heart, there's a scene where the volleyball just smacks her right in the face. And then they go and then they do it in slow-mo again. And she's like, oh, it hit me right in the face. And I don't know if you guys know this, my job, I'm a PE teacher. I get hit in the face with volleyball specifically all the time. All the time. So I feel you, girl. You still looked great. You still did a good job. Sorry that happened, but it was adorable and funny. Then, of course, she makes like the line like,
hit me right in the face. Oh, God. Oh! I'm honestly not surprised. Like, in high school, I was that person that always got hit in the face with balls. So, hey.
And then, you know, there's the joke, the innuendo, which if Jay were here, then that would be his cue to do the clueless.
Stoger, my plastic surgeon doesn't want me doing any activity where balls fly at my nose. Well, there goes your social life.
The orange team appears to be doing the orange team appears to be doing a better job as far as immediate strategy. Once the balls are flying, Jay climbs up. We all know Jay's a climber, and he is just quick, throwing them into the pyramid. Ed's team has a strategy of gathering the balls until they're all really close and then starting that. I actually thought that seemed like a good strategy, so you're not like running around to grab them. But it obviously worked out more for Jay's team. They won. Orange team wins. Asaf said that Jay's so fast and he's like an octopus. I agree. It was quick and it was fun to watch. Now, I don't think this was a very difficult challenge, but I did like watching this. I thought this was fun to watch. It looked like a good time. This is one I would absolutely like to do. Not like a whole lot of strategy involved, but this was a fun challenge to watch. Looked like it was fun to do. Orange team then has to nominate one man, and Horacio, had said earlier he rolls with Kyland. Kyland's on the other team, so that is his concern with, making sure he's safe. The men on the blue team are Kyland, James, Corey, and Ed. So for like the American Alliance, in my mind, James is the easy person to vote in, but of course Mariah is on the other team. So Mariah says she's not going to say Ed. Other people, or I'm sorry, not going to say James. Jay said he's not going to say Ed. Horacio says he's not going to say Kylan, and it's just kind of a back and forth, and they ended up deciding on Kylan. Jay did say that, so Jay was alleged to be, rolling with Kylan as well. So now Horacio isn't really sure what to do with that because he kind of waited back to make that decision and then kind of just went with what everybody was doing. And he did say that Kylan was a powerhouse, which maybe I just haven't seen enough of Kylan to feel like he's a powerhouse. I mean, we all know he's smart. Seems like maybe he has somewhat of endurance, but a powerhouse to me does not, at this point in the game, something that I would describe Kylan as. Conversations when they get back, Horacio is talking to Zaza, and she basically says, Kylan talks to Zaza and backs up what Horacio said, which was that, Horacio had his back, Jay not so much. We get to the party night. Horacio and Kylan are talking. Jay, again, more of this. Jay was quiet in the voting. And then we have this Mariah campaigning for James. And I get it. Like, I would be campaigning for my guy as well. I just didn't like how it didn't seem like James cared to campaign. And I don't know. I mean, if you want to be there, you want to win the money, make an attempt to campaign rather than just like acting like you're safe. It just didn't land well with me. And I just feel like make some sort of an effort to campaign. And maybe he did and we just didn't see it, but I wasn't super down for that. Berna is getting a little bit more paranoid. She sees Michelle with Olivia and Horacio. She says, see, to Jay, like she's with them. Jay doesn't feed into it. Berna says to Michelle, she's sad and lonely. She's her friend. Michelle says that Berna kind of has a disconnect with a lot of people in the house, and it's kind of hard for her to essentially make everybody be on Berna's side with some of the things she says and does. Mariah then is hip to what I just said, that she wishes that James was campaigning next morning, says, go talk to these people. Ed says to Michelle to vote for Corey because he's sloppy. Corey, I think, has done a really, really good job at this point. Like, with how quote unquote messy or sloppy he was a few episodes ago, I think he really has proved his allegiance to the Alliance. And now he is sitting pretty within that Alliance, and he's done a really good job. There are very few people in this game that have ever, to my recollection, kind of messed up, quote unquote, in that way in an Alliance and turned it around so quickly and done that good of a job. So, props to Corey on really turning that around. Ed needs to go reassure the girls. He talks to Olivia and Nerys. Nerys had agreed in the party night with Mariah that she would not say James if next time if she were to win, she wouldn't say, she being Mariah, wouldn't say Horacio. So at this point, I'm kind of like annoyed because I love Ed. Ed's an option. I love Corey. Corey's an option. And then there's James, who to me is the very, very obvious person to vote in. And it's looking like it's not going to go that way at all. I'm like, okay, here we go again, where everybody votes one way, but it's not necessarily the way that like me, the viewer, the fan wants it to go. And people are trying to shift things and it's not going to go that way. So I was very, very pleased with how the nominations went. So Kylan's in all black. There are a couple other people in black, and he says he's at a funeral because Melissa's gone, and he makes some joke or line about America fighting for independence from the British. Okay.
And I'm in all black because this is a funeral. I really wanted to, with a heavy heart, put to rest my connection to...
Didn't quite land. The attempt was there, A for effort. I think these are the kinds of things that happen when we don't have your challenge pros on a season, where sometimes these speeches that like a Wes could really make good, a Bananas would nail, Devin would kill, Kylan would make some funny quip. It just didn't land to me. And I guess to me, again, you guys, if you watched our podcast, you saw me last week where the way that he reacted to Asaf celebrating when he won, I didn't care for that. So I'm a little bit kind of still on the annoyed with Kylan train. First vote is Olivia. And I'm like, okay, Mariah's her friend. She's going to vote for Ed, probably. And she votes for James. And I literally cheered and clapped. I was so excited. I'm like, yes, okay, it's happening. This is great. Then Nerese says James. And then everybody pretty much follows suit. So excited. So happy this went. Oh, James was just like, I'm not going to beg, but everyone who votes for me, F you. So James ends up being voted in. Heck yeah, I'm excited for this. We go to the arena. TJ's got a black button up on because I always love to talk about what TJ is wearing. Looks nice. And the champ is revealed, and it is Darrell.
If I'm there and you ain't on my team, you ain't winning.
I'm gonna try to hit this hard as I can.
Getting their team across the finish line first.
I love Darrell. Darrell is my guy. Happy to see him on the challenge. Did not like this elimination for him. I don't think it highlighted him. I think this elimination was kind of lame. And I'm not saying it wasn't difficult because it did look challenging, but I would have liked to have seen Darrell do like a balls in. Something a little bit more physical, not a hall brawl. We all know how we on Final Alliance podcast feel about hall brawls in general, but like a balls in, or heck, even like a pole wrestle. Something. This one just didn't land with me. So we've got Darrell. His stats are great.
So this guy is a 14-time challenger. 6 of those, he made the final, and he is the only challenger in history to win 4 titles in a row.
Oh, and he does the draw. I said draw. He does the draw. And Kylan is the one that is picked. And I'm thinking, heck yeah. Bye. Of course, I was kind of like, I think I would rather, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who I would have rather gone into this elimination. I think Kylan was, in my opinion, more likely to win than James would have been. As a longtime fan, I, of course, wanted Darrell to win. Of course. I don't have the fandom for a Kylan or James that I would if it were to be Manuel, Horacio, heck, any of the women, even Jay. In this case, 100%, I wanted Darrell to win. So it's called Firewalker, which, don't you think that should have been the one that they did with Devin, because his last name is Walker, Firewalker? I mean, it was right there, right? Perfect. But I digress. There's a platform with 6 arms. On the end are fire poles. Got to move the platform to connect to the flamethrower with the fire poles. The first to light all 6 wins. So it's definitely like an agility. Balance is important. A lot of people are cheering for Kylan. Weird to see nobody cheering for Darrell, but it's a different kind of game, I suppose. There's not been a lot of people cheering for the champs during the actual elimination anyway, but it just, I don't know. Jay wants Kylan to go home, but he also knows that he needs to, if he does come back, figure things out because he's going to be a target because of what he did in the voting. At one point, Kylan falls, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be it because, Kylan has 5, Darrell has 4, and I'm like, okay, here's where Darrell gets it. Sadly, it doesn't happen. Kylan wins. Kylan does make a point that I thought was nice. He said, look, like I'm Black, I'm Mexican, I'm ADHD, I'm autistic. I'd like to show people who, have their personal struggles or are like me, you can do this. That's beautiful. I love that. So I, down for that. Still didn't want him to win. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's kind of like a salesman vibe that I get. And, sales people are phenomenal. They're very good at their job. They're people persons and charismatic. And I get that vibe that I'm, you're selling me a brand new car and you want to show me all the things, or that's just kind of the vibe I get. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I get that kind of like selling sales vibe. Darrell has a beautiful speech. He says,
being a champ, man, like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but try to lose the same way you win. Also, don't trust nobody. Mariah, don't worry, I won't tell Johnny.
So now this is essentially 3 champions who have mentioned in some way the Mariah and James thing. Notably, Tori last week said, directly to her, this isn't good. He's heartbroken. 2 weeks before, Devin before that had said, pretty sure she's banging the giant guy. So obviously word is out that something's going on. And obviously when James was not voted in, she went over and gave him a hug. So that was pretty obvious that there's something going on here, right? I guess Mariah did tweet that she said, it was cut out, but he said, just kidding, Johnny would have done the same thing to you, or something like that. So the lightheartedness of it all, which sounds more like Darrell, was cut out, which is too bad because they're making this more of a thing. And when I was listening to Challenge Mania last week, they were talking about their perspective on it. And I think that there's a really good point of this, and it's even mentioned, they don't know what champs are coming at this point. Like, we know from previews that Bananas isn't coming, but the challengers at this point, they don't have any links to the outside world. They are thinking that there is a high likelihood that Bananas is coming. So I think more of this, like, leading the viewers and the people on the show to believe that maybe Bananas is coming. I think that that's what the point is, just to kind of keep them, like, on their toes. But I would have liked to have seen the full line that Darrell said, because Darrell's a funny dude. That would have cracked me up. TJ tells Kylan just how proud of him he is. I think Kylan's won now twice. Pretty freaking good. And then TJ drops the bomb. He says,
I need all of you to go back to the house, get geared up. Yeah. We're going to a challenge right now.
I am so excited. So excited. So it looks like it's obviously it's nighttime. We see something with like brain soup and they're eating. See them running with like little like flashlights on their head. I am so excited. I love these kind of challenges. So I cannot wait for next week to see what happens. As far as categories, I am going to give Ed the win just because I find him to be delightful. It's not the best reasoning in the world, but we got to see more of Ed. He's delightful. Happy he didn't get voted in. For the loss, I'm going to go James just because I would have liked to see him campaign more and maybe have like a little bit of humility. It just, the puffing the chest out, I'm not going to, beg. I'm not going to do. I just didn't care for that. I mean, I love the, like, I'm a competitor. I'm just going to compete. It is what it is. Like, I will just do what I got to do, and it is what it is. From the showings I've seen, I would have liked to see more from him. And on the production side, like, I want to know who the people are. Like, I want to know things about them. And, we see that with several other competitors, but I don't really have any info on, like, who James is, like, what his day-to-day is, what his life is, why he's there. And those are the kind of things that make me like someone. And I mean, obviously it's probably by design because Bananas is the challenge, essentially, quote unquote. And this whatever relationship with Mariah is, maybe they're villainizing James. Obviously it's working because I gave him the L. Cringeworthy moments. I'm just going to give it to Nerys, the ball of the face, just because that was so funny. And you handled it well, girl. I like you a lot. I think it was funny. And I mean, that's really it. No great lines that I can think of. We're just at a halfway point in the show. So it's, some episodes are going to be great. Some are just going to be okay. And I feel like this was kind of just an okay one. And that's fine. They can't all be Grand Slam episodes. I do have some tea. First, Bananas and CT are going to be on the Peacock show Traitors. So they had a season last fall. Last winter. It's kind of like a murder mystery show. I really enjoyed watching it. It had people from different reality shows. There was, some Big Brother people, Real Housewives, Survivor people. It was great. I really liked it. It's how I first met Suri because I don't watch Survivor, and so it was fun then to watch her on Big Brother. So Bananas and CT both are going to be on this, and I'm very intrigued to see it. I worry though, because they are from the same show, if they're going to be targeted. They both are very good at strategy. I think Bananas just a little bit better than CT, but CT is great at kind of laying low. So we'll see. And it did kind of make me wonder, like, Bananas has done it seems like a lot of shows lately. Like, he's done like several of the challenges in a row. Then he's on House of Villains right now, which he is killing it, and he's so fun to watch. And then now he's doing this. So it made me kind of wonder, I'm like, why is he doing all these shows? Like, and then on one side, it's make hay while the sun shines. But then I was also thinking, these kind of shows are probably a shorter filming schedule and obviously easier on your body. We're not all spring chickens. I'm around the same age as Bananas. And yeah, to do something that's not going to kill your body, quick, easy paycheck, have some fun, I'm not mad at that. And I love watching him on my TV. I'm super excited to see CT on my TV. Even, obviously coming up on this season of the challenge, I cannot wait. They have to be saving that for the end at this point, because we all know he's got the chaos mallet. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching Bananas and CT on Traitors. It's on Peacock soon, whenever that happens. Cannot wait. More tea. This Nerys Olivia beef just continues to heat up. I think that we're probably going to see how it happens, or some of it, on the rest of the season, and then obviously in the reunion. It makes me sad because they were so close. It's going to be hard to watch, I feel like. But at the same time, like, I mean, we all love some juicy gossip, but seeing that it's still going on, like, in their tweets and stuff, it makes me sad. So I hope that at some point they can figure it out and mend fences. We have a little more tea, one more. So Mariah had tweeted that Bananas stole her idea for merch. So, Bananas has his clothing line. Someone had asked her about, like, making a crop top brand, because, the girl loves the crop top, using, like, lines that she said, like, no boyfriend, no problem. And Bananas now has merch that says those kind of things. So those were her ideas, she said. He's now using them for merch. That's a bummer. And that's all I have to say about that. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. I hope you were able to get some rest, enjoy time with your loved ones, and I will be back next week with my homie Jay. Follow us on Twitter, Final Lines 1, Instagram, Final Lines, on YouTube, the Final Lines Podcast. Please comment, subscribe. Love to hear what you have to say. And on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast.